Hi, and welcome everybody. I'm Ross Benjamin of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast, and you can find my website at rbwins.com. And like every Monday, I'm joined by that handsome gentleman on the other side of me, Mr. Doug Upstone from DocSports.com, one of the finest handicappers in the country. And we're going to be covering some NBA today, 11 games on Tuesday's board. We got winners in 2 of them. Before we get to that, let's introduce my man, Doug Upstone. I hope you had a great weekend, my friend.
Well, I certainly did, Ross. The college basketball season hasn't been particularly kind, and so the friends of mine that had Kansas, I told them that I picked them. So I said I probably made them a little nervous, by myself taking Kansas. But you know what? The Jayhawks got the job done, so that was good. And I was almost. I thought I had a good shot. I took Toronto yesterday to trying to win my 9th straight NBA game, just came up short. So it's okay. We'll look to start another streak here with the last 6 days of the regular season, and see where we can go, Ross.
Well, I mean, okay, you suffered a loss. What's your record over the last 10 weeks or so?
Well, we can talk about that later, but
okay.
But I can tell you one thing. I saw your comments on one of my videos, and and I actually then followed up, not with you necessarily, but I mean, you know how this goes. When you get on streaks like this, it is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you like to make fun, and it's not that I'm just trying to be humble, but the fact of the matter is, I know I'm not that good to have that kind of.
There's nobody that good.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the point.
The bottom line is over a 365-day period over the last 10 years. If you're hitting in the 55 to 58 percentile rate, now I know a lot of people out there are going to go, oh, I could do that. Really? Well, do what we do. We put our ass on the line. There's always these smart ass guys on Facebook that come in. These guys stink. I had one guy said, these guys stink. And you know what our record's been over the last 6 weeks or so. And it's like, he said, well, I had this game and I had that game. It's, buddy, you know what? It's not a sports betting forum, folks. Okay. It's a sports betting YouTube channel. It's called the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. Okay. We're not, if you want to go to a forum and tell everybody what you like, there's plenty of them out there. Okay. Nobody cares what you like. They don't. I'm telling you. And if you're going to bet on games or tell people what you like and claim you have this outstanding record, then tell us where we could find your past results, where it's documented by an independent source, because ours are, okay, our records on this YouTube channel. All you have to do is access the archives of our videos at our page. My point being made. Anyway, Doug, some interesting stuff coming up in the final week of the NBA regular season. We were talking off air, and I'm going to let you take it away. What to look for, or any helpful hints you can give to the viewers out there.
Well, Well, you know what? I'm going to take that back. You go first, because what I have to say is piggybacking on what you said.
Right.
So why don't you explain exactly what you said to me, and then let everybody know, so that everybody can share in your knowledge, and then I'll just piggyback on it.
See, that's why I love working with this guy. How courteous is that? Anyway, and professional. Anyway, I mean, folks, here's the thing. Keep an eye on the standings right now. Keep an eye on the seedings. And I would say, pay special attention to the 7 through 10 seeds in both conferences right now. And then those who are on the outside looking in, and that applies more to the Eastern Conference. No, the Eastern Conference, right, Doug, as opposed to the Western Conference. I think
I would say, yeah.
In any event, folks, my point being is, just because a team needs a game more doesn't necessarily mean they're the automatic play. Now, I could tell you this, 2 teams playing each other in this final week where they can improve their standing, or seeding, I should say, or they can improve their chances of at least making the play-in game. or playing round, I should say, those lines to me will be very accurate and honest. When teams that are in contention and are playing for a lot this week are playing against teams that are mathematically eliminated from postseason play, be careful from the respect that the odds makers are sharp. Not only are they great at making a line, but they're also very keen on public perception. And as a result, they know that the public will tend to lean with teams that need to gain more against teams with worse records and have been mathematically eliminated. As a result, we get some inflated lines sometimes. So just be careful in that regard. Now I'm going to let you piggyback, buddy.
All right. Well, and to your point, I think the best thing anybody can do is look for games that have meaning. And especially if you have two teams that are playing for something. Okay. If you have, a couple of playoff teams, like you said, one team could raise their position versus another. You got two crummy teams. Okay. The outcome could be anything. And, I know you had mentioned, I think several weeks ago about those being overplays. And I think by and large, that has essentially been true. But this last week of the season, when as we've talked about, when basically the car is running and they're waiting for the season to end, that's not a good place to put a bet. That is flipping a coin and hoping you're right. Right. So stay away from those. And beyond that, though, it's a hard week. Okay. And the other thing that makes it hard, unless you have the ability or you want to place a bet literally an hour or less before game time, because you could have the right team in the right situation, everything, and all of a sudden this team decides to sit its starters. Well, a great example was last week. Not to say that one play was the right side or the other, but the Clippers were playing the Bucks. And the Clippers decided to rest 3 or 4 different players. All right. So the line moved dramatically in favor of the Bucks. Less than an hour later, the Bucks did not play Antetokounmpo and Middleton. Okay. Flip the line again. The Clippers won by 35 or whatever it was last week.
They put up, I think, 151 points.
100, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and those things can easily happen the last week of the season and happened the week before too. So those are just things to look to avoid, from that standpoint, and just be super cautious this week. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. Memphis is another example against Phoenix last week. There were 2.5 right up until a few hours before game time. It jumped to 7.5. And that was because, they decided to sit some players. They're locked into the number 2 seed in the NBA. But lo and behold, the backups from Memphis put on a show against the A team from Phoenix, and they ended up winning the game outright. So it's not an exact science. My point and Doug's point is to be aware. And again, we don't have the luxury. And this is why I can't speak for Doug, but this is why I really tread lightly at this part of the year in the NBA, unless, like Doug said, it's a meaningful game, because you are very vulnerable to these types of situations happening that we just described. And we don't have the luxury of waiting to an hour before game time to put up picks online for our clients. They want it, and rightfully so. They want it with ample time to operate. And some of you may have to drive to a casino still because you don't have mobile betting. Others of you might have something to do and you want to get your bets in early. But just keep that in mind, folks. So anyway, Doug, go ahead.
I'm sorry, to go along with what you said. I believe in the last, I think it's 3 weeks, I've had one day where I've had more than one pick in the NBA.
Yeah.
So that goes along with what you're saying.
Yeah, point well taken. And do you want me to piggyback off your meaningful games by giving my free pick first?
Hey, you know what? Let's change it up. It isn't going to hurt anything, right?
Yeah, no. Hey, look, by the way, folks, we're let me see, 38, 30, I think 38 and 22 with our last 30 videos. So, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. If you're betting on sports, I'm bringing you Doug Upstone. I'm bringing you Chip Chirimbus. I'll have the Earl brothers on Wednesday to give out some baseball selections. Doug will be back on Thursday. We're going to do our first baseball free pick show. And then Chip Chirimbus will be here on Friday. We're going to some more NBA. So a lot of great things happening here, not only with myself, but some of the special guests I'm bringing on and our regulars, Doug Upstone and Chip Chirimbus, two of the finest handicappers in the country. Anyway, now Doug said, look for meaningful games. Well, I'm going to take the contrarian approach with my free pick for Tuesday, April the 5th, and it comes in the Portland and Oklahoma City game. Now, here's the difference, okay? We got two teams that are have been mathematically eliminated for quite some time, and logically eliminated for even longer than that, okay? But I'm looking at how these two teams are competing right now. Portland has thrown in the towel. That's an understatement. They have not competed well. Defense is an afterthought for this team, while Oklahoma City has battled really hard and has competed really hard down the stretch. So keep that in mind. Oklahoma City, they're 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. However, they're a 3.5-point favorite in this game, which should tell you something right in itself, because they haven't been a favorite very much this season. Portland, speaking of how bad they've been of late, they've gone 0-7 in their last 7 games, and they've lost those games by a combined 17.7 points per game. Additionally, Portland, as an underdog of 4 or less, the last 5 times they've been in that role, they've gone 0-5 against the spread and lost by 14.2 points per game. This is also a Portland team. This is a division game, a Northwest Division game, and Portland has gone 1-13 straight up and 2-12 against the spread in division games this year. Not very good, folks. And finally, the last thing, because I'm talking about Portland way too much, a team that stinks, it's not even trying, and I'm giving them love. No, I'm not giving them love. I'm actually dissing them. Portland, in their last 5 games, has allowed close to 122 points per game and just shy of 52% shooting. On the other hand, this is an Oklahoma City team that's shooting nearly 41% from 3-point range over their last 5. They've gone 3-3 straight up in their last 6. Not great, but competing hard. And like I said, the 8-2 against the spread over their last 10. So I'm just going to go with the team here, Doug. I think, to me, the team that's playing with more heart and more character right now, even though they're shy of talent, against a team that's really given up down the stretch. I'm going with Oklahoma City here, -3.5 over Portland on Tuesday, the 5th of April. And yourself.
Well, Russ, one thing I'd like to add then too,
Sure.
I saw this on Twitter about with Portland, is that I don't know if it was planned or not, but they're wearing new uniforms for the last week of the season, and they're Matador ones. Okay, so
Yeah,
you know,
it's a way they're playing defense.
Olay.
Yeah, yes.
So that's something to look for too on your highlight shows with their the Trailblazers a trailblazing uniform, if you will, from that standpoint. All right, I'll get to my free pick. I'm going to go with a meaningful game here, at least seemingly a meaningful game. Denver and San Antonio, with the Spurs visiting the Mile High City. Denver, in this one, they come in playing pretty good basketball, not great, okay, but from that standpoint. But San Antonio, they have a lot to play for, probably a little bit more than Denver in terms of what needs to be done. In this one, the San Antonio, San Antonio is 2 games ahead of the Lakers for the last play-in spot. So from that standpoint, they have something to play for, but they got a tough schedule. Okay, besides Denver, they're at Minnesota, they're playing Golden State, and at Dallas to close the season. That sounds tough, but what we don't know is that what will be the mental, or what will be the position each team has in order to go forward. Maybe Golden State, okay, they'll be satisfied if they're the 3rd or the 4th seed. They don't care. Dallas looks to be in pretty good shape, okay, for the 5th seed. So that situation, that'll kind of play its way out. Versus the Nuggets, they're right now, they're the 6th seed. Okay. And they could move up. But here's the thing I wonder, and some teams care about this, Ross, in the NBA, and some don't. But if Denver wants to move up, okay, be the 5th seed versus the 6th seed, their game would be against Dallas in the first round, or their series, excuse me, would be against Dallas. I don't know that I'd want to play Dallas necessarily in the first round, versus if they're at the 6th seed, they get Golden State. Well, sure, Stephen Curry might be coming back by then. We don't know yet for sure. But just from that standpoint, so I'm not sure exactly where Denver is mentally, okay, coming into this one. So I'm looking at this game. San Antonio's hot. They're trying to keep the Lakers away, get into the playoffs. They're 6-1 straight up and against spread. Most recently, they haven't beaten many good teams, but a lot of times when you win, you get confidence. So that seems to be the bigger thing. Nuggets come in their last 15 games, 5-10 against the spread. And if they're coming off a road win of 10 or more points like they just had against the Lakers, they're 6-17 against the number. I'm going to take San Antonio, Ross, plus the 6.5 at Denver on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, Denver is a team. If you're a Nuggets fan, you got to be pulling your hair out, because the team could look like they did against the Lakers the other night and then lay an absolute egg 2 days later. Their home record has not been what we're normally used to this season, and a team that seems to have a lot more talent than their record shows right now, because they have not lived up to expectations, in my opinion. I think this team has the talent to be a top 3 team in the Western Conference anyway, not battling for a 5 or 6 seed. So I agree with Doug. He likes San Antonio plus the 6.5 over Denver. I'm on Oklahoma City minus the 3.5 over Portland. All right, Doug, we're going to get to the best part of the show for you, your last 10 weeks. And I'm going to ask you to explain why you're doing so well.
I'm assuming you're talking about the NBA, and so yes, it's been quite a run. 41-15. As I mentioned, had my 8-game winning streak snapped, but still in that time period, on my best bets in that period, 16-5, including the loss on Sunday. It's gone extremely well, and I know this is what always brings a smile to Ross's face when this topic comes up. But the fact of the matter is at 41-15, there's nobody that is that good when that happens. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean it can't happen, and it has for me. What has happened for me? You know what? Every time I look at the board, I'm dialed in. That's all I can tell you. I look at it, things like jump off the page to me that say, you know what? I got to take that play. Okay. And that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. And I've made my analogy about golf in terms of how this comes up before. When you're in the groove, you have a 15-foot putt, okay, to make a birdie. You know it's going in, and other times exactly the same thing. You got a 2-foot putt for a bogey, and you have no idea how you're going to get in the hole. That's exactly, to me, is how this works. So I'm in a great groove right now. I was in a great groove last summer with baseball. Okay, I was the #1 handicapper at Docs, and and a couple other monitors that I've also belonged to. I was in the top 3 there. So I had a great baseball season. I'm looking forward to another one. Can't wait for Thursday to get here. I just spent, in the last 10 days, I went to 7 as of last Friday, I went to 7 games in 10 days.
Wow.
And saw a ton of baseball, got a lot of great knowledge from different things I've seen, and there's a couple things that really stood out to me. So if you happen to have a chance to see some of my videos, and I'll bring some of those nuggets on Thursday, Ross, that I can bring up, things that are useful. And I'll have a couple of also win totals that would be available on that. So we'll just try and mix some things in, have some fun.
Yeah, no doubt. And Doug, he just mentioned #1 in Major League Baseball last year at Docs. And if you have not been to DocsSports.com, some terrific handicappers there. There's a reason why they've been around for 50 years. That's right, folks. This year was their 50th year. And that longevity in this business, it speaks volumes. And Doug's on a tremendous roll in the NBA right now, 41-15. Folks, here's the thing. The most frustrating thing for me, and I can't speak for Doug, is when you go on a roll like that and everybody sits back and watches, and then eventually, look, you're going to cool down. Okay. It's just nobody hits at that rate for an entire year or an entire season. Okay. You'll get some bozo out there that says he does, and even bigger bozos that say he does, they do it every year. It doesn't exist. The thing that I get frustrated with is now people hear this record and they start jumping in on Doug, and then he cools off and they tell him he sucks or they give up on him. Okay. The bottom line is, folks, within the year, if you go 58-60, even in the 55-58 range, you're going to have some tremendous win streaks along the way. What you hope happens is, and what happens to us in general, is somebody who does it every day and lasts a long time, the way we have, you're going to have more winning streaks than losing streaks through the course of the year, through the course of time. And that's where you fall into that category where you've made a profit over an extended period of time, where others just get hot and not only can't they maintain that, but then they're 40% handicapper the rest of the year. So just keep that in mind, because I don't want anybody picking on my buddy here. If they decide, okay, this guy's hot, let's jump. Oh, he sucked this week. And I'm not implying Doug's going to go 3-7 this week, but we're transparent here, and we're not trying to feed you a false sense of security. Okay, you're not going to be able to, especially, Doug, the guys that really give me the problems aren't the guys who bet a dime to 3 dimes a game. It's the guys who bet $100 and $200 a game, think they're going to retire on your picks after 1 year. You got to exhibit patience. You got to be willing to grind it out. And you could find me at rbwins.com. My Major League Baseball 10-star top plays, which are my best bets, and I never give out more than one of those a day in any specific sport. As a matter of fact, I'm very selective in Major League Baseball when I do. Major League Baseball is a long year, 162 games. I only gave out 64 Major League Baseball 10-star top plays last year, and I won 42-22 with those plays. That's 65%. On top of that, folks, you'll never, ever get a pick from me over a minus 140. You don't need me for that. You lose even a minus 150 or minus 160. You have to win 2 games just to make up for that loss and be at a minimal profit at that. If you get guys out there giving you minus 180s, minus 200, your red flags and antennas shall go up, folks, because those aren't true handicappers. So, all right. And my NBA totals continue to be on a run. It's rbwins.com. Doug at docsports.com. You heard the runs he's on, just terrific. And we'll be back with Doug Upstone on Thursday, and we're going to be discussing baseball. Like Doug said, he's going to give you a couple MLB win totals, which is going to challenge me to do the same thing. We'll also have a free pick for you in Major League Baseball on Friday from each one of us. Tomorrow, I'll be back flying solo. And then Wednesday, I'll have special guests, the Earl brothers. We'll be talking baseball Thursday with Doug, Friday with Chip Chirimbus. Till the next time, for all of you out there, thank you for joining us. For Doug Upstone and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless.